The quarterbacks on the Buffalo Bills 2025 schedule feature a mix of marquee matchups and potential rising stars. How tough is it? We're exploring that today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. I'd also like to invite you to subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Well, folks, welcome in. I'm excited for the NFL schedule to come out on Wednesday night. But before we get there, I want to have one more preview-type conversation entirely focused on the quarterbacks that the Bills are facing. How tough of a slate of quarterbacks is this? And so we're going to talk about each quarterback that the Bills face. I've also ranked all the quarterbacks in the NFL, 1 to 32. And that allows me to do some fun stuff with data. And what we're going to do today is consider the average rank of the quarterbacks 1 through 32 in terms of how I see it, right? It's my ranking, 1 to 32, and ask ourselves, what is the average rank of the quarterbacks on the Bills schedule, but also the rest of the NFL? So we're going to be able to have a strength of quarterback schedule conversation here. So we'll talk about the quarterbacks that the Bills face. I'll tell you where they rank in my own individual rankings of the 32 starting quarterbacks in the league. And then we'll also be able to compare how hard the Bills quarterback schedule is to the rest of the league. So this will be fun. Let's dive in. And the way I want to do this is go in order of the best quarterbacks on the schedule all the way down to the, I guess, worst quarterbacks on the Bills schedule. So we'll start with the marquee matchups, then we'll work our way down. I think the best quarterback on the Bills schedule this year is Joe Burrow with the Cincinnati Bengals. I have him ranked number 2 in the NFL. Spoiler, Josh Allen, I have number 1. But my number 2 quarterback in the NFL is Joe Burrow. And I'm going to give you some thoughts on each quarterback, but also some consistent data. I'm going to give you their career record and passer rating against the Bills during the regular season only. And I want to talk about what makes them tough to play against. Joe Burrow has played only one game against the Bills. 1-0 with a 108.9 passer rating. Of course, there was a playoff game. He played well in that playoff game as well. What makes Joe Burrow tough? Timing, decision-making, and accuracy. His ability to execute the passing offense is at the highest level of any quarterback in the league, in my opinion. No, he doesn't have the running ability of a Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have the arm talent of Josh Allen. But his ability to process coverage, make great decisions, and make accurate throws, I think it's second to none. Don't blame the lack of success that the Bengals have had over the last couple of years on Joe Burrow. It's their defense. They have a goofy coaching staff. I hate the way that the Bengals operate overall, but that dude executes the quarterback position at an extremely high level. Obviously, he's got great receivers as well. I think he's the best quarterback on the Bills schedule this year. Number 2 for me in the entire NFL. Number 3, the second hardest quarterback, the second best quarterback on the Bills schedule, and my number 3 quarterback in the league entering 2025 is Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs. Now, he doesn't have a very good regular season record against the Bills. 1-4 with a passer rating of 85.9. But as we know, the postseason success has been the opposite, right? 4-0 with crazy good stats. What makes Patrick Mahomes so tough to play against? Number of things, but I think it's situational consistency. red zone, third downs, clutch situations, he makes the play. He makes the play. And the Chiefs offense during the regular season the last 2 years have not been that good. They've been 15th in scoring the last 2 years. But when they need it, he figures it out. And so he's certainly got all the physical upside you can want, creative playmaker, dynamic, all that stuff. But I think it's really his ability to win situationally with consistency that makes him really tough to play against. The next hardest quarterback on the schedule for the Bills is Lamar Jackson. I have him ranked number 4 in the NFL, quarterback of the Ravens. Against the Bills in the regular season, Lamar Jackson is 3-1 with a passer rating of 92.5. What makes Lamar tough to play against? Well, it's a dual threat ability. This guy is lightning in a bottle and explosive with the ball in his hands. And he's a really good passer, too. Throw the ball down the field, can throw the ball anywhere. Extending plays. He's as dynamic of a playmaker as there is in the league. It's tough to deal with. Give him Derrick Henry in that backfield, it's even more challenging to play against. And the Bills also face my number 5 quarterback in the NFL. This might be a surprise to you. I don't think it should be if you've been watching the league. My number 5 quarterback in the league is Baker Mayfield, quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Against the Bills, he's 1-1. The one win was actually as the Browns starting quarterback, and then the Bills beat Tampa relatively recently. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before that. Has a career passer rating against Buffalo of 96.6. What makes Baker Mayfield tough to play against? I think he's just got a high level of competitive toughness and arm talent. This guy's got a big arm. He's accurate. And he's one of those dudes that's going to figure it out in high leverage situations. He's going to put it on the line. He'll run. He'll extend a play. He'll hammer a tight window throw and give his guys a chance. And if you think number 5's too high for Baker Mayfield, I would say that I'm really comfortable with the ranking. Last year, he threw for 4,500 yards and 41 touchdowns. They had a ton of injuries at receiver. If you go to quarterback stew, which is a metric that Bruce Nolan has developed, and what he does with quarterback stew is he takes a bunch of measurements of quarterback play and then averages the rank together, and then he gives you like this overall rank of these very important metrics. The metrics that he considers are quarterback, QBR, adjusted net yards per attempt, NEA, EPA per play, PFF grade, and completion percentage over expectation. Baker Mayfield finished 6th in the NFL last year. He's awesome. He's awesome. So the Bills face 4 of my top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. They can't face the number 1 quarterback because he's on the team. But they face 2, 3, 4, and 5. The good news is they all come to Orchard Park. That's helpful. You get them all at home. So the Bills have matchups against the best of the best in terms of the quarterbacks in the league. It'll be a big part of kind of sorting out what the Bills' record's going to be in 2025. So that's the start of the conversation. What about the rest of this quarterback schedule? We'll do that, and we'll also have an overall conversation on where the Bills' quarterback matchups, right, in terms of the average rank, lands relative to the rest of the league. All of that's coming up here in just a moment, so be sure to stick with me. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. And FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. You know, you're watching these playoffs. They're exciting. Which teams are heating up? Which players are heating up? You're tracking this. Get in on the action. It makes the exciting games even more exciting when you have some prop bets. You know, you're sitting there, all right, we got a certain player. We need him to score 25 points. It makes the games more fun. Or maybe you need the game total to be more than 205 combined points. It makes those thrilling fourth quarters even better. And they got a great deal. You get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet win. So check it out. If you're new to FanDuel, it is the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's keep talking about these quarterbacks. So I already went through this. The Bills face my number 2, 3, 4, and 5 quarterbacks. They also face my number 9 quarterback, Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles. Against the Bills, 1-0 with a 96.2 passer rating. We remember this game in the rain in Philly. Bills had every opportunity to win it. They couldn't do it. Defense let them down. What makes Jalen Hurts tough to play against? He's clutch, and he's got dual threat ability. One of those guys that can make some big-time throws down the field, kind of figure it out in big situations, but can also run, right? He's got everything on the menu for him, and he's got a heck of a supporting cast and a great offensive line. It's a nice combination. And so that'll be a great opportunity for Buffalo. Obviously, this guy just won the Super Bowl with the Eagles, and the only team left that Josh Allen hasn't won a game against is the Eagles. So got to get that one taken care of. The Bills face my number 13 quarterback, C.J. Stroud of the Texans. Pretty hot start to his career. 2 division titles, a playoff win in each of his first 2 seasons. Now, I don't think his second season was as good as his first. I think he got away with a lot as a rookie. That kind of caught up to him last year. I think that offensive line needs some work. They replaced their offensive coordinator. They made a ton of changes to the offensive line, a ton of changes to the receiver corps. Be a big year for him. I think he's kind of teetering on, all right, are we going to be a dude, right? Like a legit top 10 quarterback, or are we going to be knocking on the door? I think we'll get some clarity on that this year for C.J. Stroud. But what makes C.J. Stroud tough to play against, I think, is accuracy. I think he's a very accurate quarterback and has the ability to challenge all 3 levels of the field. He's got some really impressive deep throws as well. I think he's an accurate quarterback. Bills face my number 18 quarterback twice. That'd be Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins. Against the Bills, he's 1-8 with a passer rating of 80.5. What makes Tua tough is he's got a quick trigger and he's accurate. Doesn't have a big arm. He's not going to run all over the place, but he's very good at processing pre-snap, getting the ball out of his hands quick, and getting it into the hands of playmakers with accuracy. That gives him an opportunity to stay up and produce after the catch. A lot of questions with Miami this year. Some new pieces on the O-line to figure out. Is Tyreek Hill going to play this year for them? Ton of questions on defense. Make or break year for Mike McDaniel, it feels like. And for whatever you think of Tua, they're at their best when he's on the field. There's no question about it. That's been the challenge, though. He's got to be available. He's got to be healthy. If they get 17 starts out of Tua, I think that's obviously going to be their best chance to be a playoff team and see what kind of noise they can make. A lot of questions, but Tua certainly has redeeming qualities with how he runs that offense, and everything's tailored and built around him. The Bills face my number 21 quarterback twice, Drake May of the Patriots. Had 2 starts against the Bills, 1-1 with a passer rating of 87.8. Really, the win was Joe Milton's win, right? That Week 18 game, kind of goofy against the Bills' backups. Drake May plays like a series, gets sacked by Von Miller. They yank him. They go on to win the game with Joe Milton, then they trade away Joe Milton. What makes Drake May tough is, and this goes back to his time in North Carolina, he just figures it out. He finds a way. There's situational toughness that I love about Drake May. 3rd downs, he'll put it on the line. He'll make the big throw. He's got the right appetite for some risk. And I'm really impressed with what he was able to do as a rookie. You think about that situation in New England, it was so bad. The head coach was terrible. The offensive coordinator was terrible. The offensive line was terrible. Didn't have any good receivers. The defense was no good. And he went out there and played respectable football. And I think anybody that watched Drake May last year comes away thinking, that guy's got a little something to him. And so he's ranked number 21. But he's certainly a player that I think throughout the season can grow. And next year when I do these rankings, could be every bit of 5 to 10 spots higher. I wouldn't be surprised. The Bills face my number 22 quarterback, Bryce Young of the Panthers. This will be his first game against the Bills. What makes Bryce Young tough is kind of his just growth as a player. And he's got this ability to just be a point guard. He's not going to wow you with size, arm talent, athleticism, but he's got nice feel and instincts, can move around a little bit, and distribute the football. Now, we're going to find out about Bryce Young this year. He was a disaster to start his career, gets benched, and then comes out of being benched and starts to play pretty well. So what's the truth? We'll find out this year. He could be a guy that rises a little bit. I don't know that he has the physical upside to be like a big-time, dynamic, win because of quarterback. But can he be a respectable one that can play winning football? I think so. I think he showed us that a little bit last year. But this will be a defining year for the former number 1 overall pick that Carolina gave up a ton to have. The Bills face my number 24 quarterback twice, Justin Fields of the Jets. Against the Bills, he's 0-1 with a passer rating of 92.5. What makes Justin Fields tough is his rushing ability. He's a high-variance passer, right? He's got plenty of arm strength, but not a consistently accurate quarterback, not a consistent decision maker, but there's no denying that this is one of the best rushing quarterbacks in the league. If you have him in fantasy football like I do, you don't really care about the actual execution. You know that there's going to be production because he's going to be able to create offense. We'll see how he fits together with the Jets. They don't have a huge commitment to him, but he's clearly going to be the guy this year. And we've seen these reclamation projects work at quarterback, whether it's been Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold, first-round picks that get another opportunity, and they figure it out. In the case of Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, multiple opportunities. This would be Justin Fields' third opportunity. Obviously with the Bears and then Pittsburgh last year, he was he 4-1, 4-2? They bench him. They put Russ Wilson in. See what he does with the Jets. There's certainly a ceiling there. And I think that's part of one of the themes that I hope that you'll take away from this conversation, and it will continue in the next segment, where you got some quarterbacks that are going to be lower ranked, like a Drake May at 21, Bryce Young 22, Justin Fields will be 24. Spoiler, next player we're going to talk about is Michael Penix at 25. A lot of these guys have a lot of ceiling to develop into. So while they currently slot where they slot, because I think based on the information we have, it's not really fair to put them any higher, they certainly have so much more to tell us about who they are as players, and ultimately guys that at the end of the season or next year when we're doing this will be a lot higher. It's just guys that are teetering, guys that we just need to learn more about. And I think the Bills, they face a lot of those quarterbacks in addition to, like I already mentioned, 4 of the top 5. So it's an interesting slate of quarterbacks. We'll continue talking about them and get into some of the big picture conversations about where the Bills rank in terms of average quarterback rank relative to the rest of the league. I'll show you all 32 teams here on the screen on YouTube and highlight, some of the important teams relative to the Bills. We'll do all that here in segment 3, so be sure to stick with me. The Buffalo Bills face my number 25 quarterback, Michael Penix of the Atlanta Falcons. It'll be his first game against the Bills. Obviously, he didn't get a ton of playing time, got a chance to play for Atlanta late in the season. Had some really good moments, right? We have a lot to learn about Michael Penix, but they paid Kirk Cousins, then they drafted this guy in the top 10. A lot of people had questions about that, but right now it looks like maybe Atlanta's getting the last laugh. What makes Michael Penix tough to play against? He's got an appetite for throwing the ball down the field, and he's pretty good at it. They got some nice vertical receivers there in Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts can get down the field, good running back in Bijan Robinson. He'll be more comfortable. He'll be the unquestioned starter all offseason long. Have an opportunity to really elevate and show us who he is this year. So another one, number 25, he could jump considerably. The Bills face my number 27 quarterback. That's Mason Rudolph of the Steelers. Against the Bills, not including the one playoff game, he's 0-1 with a passer rating of 74.5. I think what makes Mason Rudolph tough to play against is that he stays on schedule. You're not worried about him dicing you up or hitting big throws or extending plays with his legs, but smart quarterback that will hit his back foot and throw the football. Keep the offense on schedule. We'll see what happens with Pittsburgh. Maybe they sign Aaron Rodgers. But I do wonder if there's a level of comfort that they have saying, you know what, Aaron Rodgers, we're not signing up for this. We'll just roll with Mason Rudolph. They got hot with Mason Rudolph a few years ago. I think collectively with Pittsburgh, the story's been they've been a pretty good football team. Get to the playoffs every year, get smoked in the first round. But ultimately, they've been doing this in spite of quarterback play. They play good defense. They run the ball. Special teams, they're opportunistic. And so I think there's probably a willingness from Pittsburgh to say, you know what? We'll just do this with Mason Rudolph. I wouldn't be surprised. The Bills face my number 28 quarterback, Joe Flacco of the Browns. Now, who knows? Could it be Kenny Pickett? Could it be Dylan Gabriel? Could it be Shedeur Sanders? I mean, they might try to recapture that Flacco magic, right? He went on to, I guess, get the Browns into the postseason. They won like 11 games or 11 or 12 games a few years ago. Got of nowhere. Somehow that led to Joe Flacco being the comeback player of the year over DeMar Hamlin, which is still insane to me. Let's assume it's Joe Flacco against the Bills. He's 3-4, passer rating of 84.7. I think what makes Joe Flacco tough is he's just experienced. He's taken 100 million snaps, right? He's played a lot of football. He's seen a lot. You know, doesn't have the arm talent he used to have, never was able to move, but you're probably not going to be able to really confuse him. And so he's a guy that is going to know what to do with the ball. And then the Bills face my number 32 quarterback. That's Tyler Shuck of the Saints, their second-round pick. Derek Carr just retired. He's got a competition between Tyler Shuck, their second-round pick this year, and Spencer Rattler was a mid-round pick 2 years ago. We don't know anything about Tyler Shuck other than he was in college for 7 years, had a bunch of season-ending injuries, and did enough this year to be a top 40 pick. It'll be his first game against the Bills. When you watch Tyler Shuck in college, I think you can look at him and say, you know what, he's got physical upside, can move around, has a big arm. We'll see. We'll see how that goes, but there's no launch point. We don't know where he's at in the league. So he slots at number 32 for me. So let's get into some numbers here. As I went through, the Bills face my number 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 13, 18, 21, 22, 24, 25, 27, 28, and 32 ranked quarterbacks. I'll put the data on the screen now if you're on YouTube. The hardest quarterback schedule this year, based on my rankings of the quarterbacks 1 to 32, is the Philadelphia Eagles. Their average quarterback opponent ranks, according to my rankings, 13.06. That's the hardest. The easiest quarterback schedule per my rankings is the 49ers at an average rank of 19.47. The rest of the top 5, so it's Eagles 1 in terms of hardest quarterback schedule. Eagles number 1, Broncos number 2, Giants number 3, Chiefs number 4, and Vikings number 5. In terms of the easiest quarterback schedule, we talked about the 49ers already. Then you have the Seahawks at the second easiest, the Bengals the third easiest, that matters. The Bucs the fourth easiest, and the Titans the fifth easiest. Where do the Bills fall? 22nd. They finished 22nd. Average quarterback rank of 17.41. So I guess a bottom 10 bottom 10 easiest quarterback schedule this year for the Bills, despite facing some big-time quarterbacks. Let me give you some other notable teams, and then I'll get into some more thoughts on the Bills' quarterback schedule. Other notable teams. The Chiefs have the 4th hardest quarterback schedule. The Texans are 10th. The Ravens are 11th. The Jets are 15th. The Dolphins 17th. The Chargers 24th. Patriots 27th. Bengals 30th. For a Bengals team that has a lot of questions on defense, I'm sure they're excited about their quarterback schedule. A few additional thoughts on the Bills. Obviously, they face my number 2, 3, 4, and 5, and number 9. So they face 5 of my top 10 quarterbacks, including 2 through 5. But then you do have, like I mentioned, some guys towards the bottom, but there's the arrow pointing up on a lot of these guys, whether that's Drake May or Bryce Young, Michael Penix, Justin Fields, Tyler Shuck. What do we really know about them? So it's a little bit boom or bust with who the Bills have on their quarterback schedule, but certainly a lot of young guys that you feel like are on the rise. It certainly could be on the rise. Fascinating to see how this all plays out. Well, folks, speculation will soon be over. We're going to get this schedule Wednesday night, and we'll know exactly when and at what time the Bills face these teams, when the bye week is. We know that the Bills do not play internationally this year. That schedule has been released. The Bills, as I speculated, have the second least amount of travel of any team this year. So that'll be helpful. Not a lot of daunting plane rides for Buffalo, which helps. All right, we will get that path for Buffalo Wednesday night. And so I will get you a podcast breaking down the schedule on Wednesday night. So don't miss that. We'll cover it from all angles as we've been schedule heavy this week. But obviously, that's what's going on in the league right now. So I'm excited to see what this looks like and break it down for you on Wednesday night. So don't miss it. Make sure that you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.